So when you're 20 and you just don't give a fuck, you're like, you know what I'm saying? Fuck the world. Y'all don't want to fuck me. Fuck y'all. I'm going to fuck you. I'm going to fuck your mom. I'm going to fuck everybody in a year. I'm fucking everybody. And then you fast forward to now where you're the bad guy, and now there's victims and I'm the aggressor or whatever it's called, and then we can't work in the industry no more.
So Kim Kardashian is dealing with a serious mess, and it's spiraling fast. What's going on here? Think back to that lawsuit Kim filed against Ray J. I said before, if you're coming in that strong, you better have real proof. But Ray J has stayed firm this whole time, saying he's innocent, and he claims he's got receipts to back it up.
I never leaked anything. The family on the other side are great strategists. I was a victim, yo.
Well, how did that happen?
I'm just a victim, yo. I'm a victim of like coercion. What is it called?
Coercion?
Yeah, like I was a victim, yo. Every day I feel worse and worse. I feel naked.
He's been calling out Kris and the whole camp, saying they weren't telling the truth. If you caught the last breakdown, then you already know they tried to push for a $6 million settlement during the first season of Keeping Up with the Kardashians on Hulu. And here's the wild part. They tried to keep that out of court completely, almost like pulling the same move they did in the Blac Chyna case, where key evidence got blocked. But this time, Ray J wasn't letting that slide, not even a little.
I was young. I was in love. I was being led, not leading. I was being filmed, not filming. I was being stripped of more than my clothes. They were peeling off my purpose, man. My peace, my legacy, my control. And still, I stood there naked, unarmed, no script, no spin, no mama in.
The judge basically flipped the script and said, hold up, you're accusing him of lying, but this contract and his chat search history are lining up with his story. That's a huge twist, and it's making things look real shaky on Kim's side. Now it gets even messier because insiders are talking about Kim's connection with Lewis Hamilton.
Why is Lewis Hamilton dating Kim Kardashian? Recently, Kim Kardashian and Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton were spotted together at the Super Bowl, publicly confirming their once-secret romance. Just a few days earlier, the two were photographed checking into a luxury hotel together.
They were spotted out in Tokyo looking super close, all smiles and energy. But people are whispering that Lewis might have been paid just to show up, like it was all promo for the show. So now everyone's asking, is this even real or just business?
In fact, Kim and Lewis have known each other for years. As early as 2015, Kim's then-husband Kanye West even invited Lewis to spend Easter with the family, highlighting their close connection. 5 years after Kim and Kanye divorced, she and Lewis grew closer.
And then comes the final blow. Lewis's own mom reportedly said, Kim is a no-go and it's going nowhere. That right there says a lot, and it's not looking good at all.
From supermodels to superstars, Lewis has dated across industries, which leaves many wondering why he is now with Kim. In reality, whether in terms of net worth or public influence, Kim far surpasses Lewis.
Lewis has a reputation for wasting a woman's time, no sugarcoating it.
Lewis has had a rather colorful dating history. Rumors have linked him romantically to Kim's half-sister Kendall Jenner, as well as her close friend Gigi Hadid. He was photographed on a date with Rihanna in 2015, briefly linked to Nicki Minaj in 2018, and in the summer of 2023, he had a fling with Shakira in Miami.
So even if he's been seen hanging out with Kim, people are already side-eyeing how far this is really going to go. It might look cute in photos, but that doesn't mean it's anything serious. What really has people talking is the timing of everything. The exact same day Ray J scored that court win, Kim suddenly pops up in Tokyo with her kids, sitting front row with Lewis Hamilton at an F1 event. That's not a random moment. That's strategic, and people are catching on fast. Now rumors are flying that Lewis was allegedly paid a massive $2 million just to show up and shift the narrative away from the court drama. That's a huge claim, and while some are saying it's just business, others think it's way too convenient to ignore.
Who benefited more from the tape?
Let me tell you something. That was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. If you look from then till now, it's the worst thing that's ever been put on my name. It's the most disgusting, the most illegal, and the most distasteful when you have a daughter.
On one side, sure, Kim and Lewis sound like a power combo, but let's be real. It's not exactly giving strong chemistry vibes. And here's where it gets even deeper. A new blind item is making rounds, and it lines up with details from Ray J's legal documents. That's why people are paying attention, because if even part of this checks out, it could be serious trouble for Kim. It also raises a big question. Why even file that lawsuit in the first place?
They used my body as a brand and then told me I was the one who needed to feel ashamed. But listen, being naked isn't a problem. Nah, it's what they do with your nakedness that scars you.
There's been talk for a while that Kim has been trying to reshape her image and distance herself from her past, aiming for a more polished elite status. Some even say she wants to be seen on a completely different level, but critics aren't buying it. And now all these claims about what held her back, including law school, are getting pulled into the spotlight again. People are saying this could mess up Lewis moving to the next level, but let's be real. Lewis isn't exactly known for settling down like that. He does his own thing, and that's been his pattern for a while.
Yet what sparks even more curiosity is whether Lewis can break the so-called Kardashian curse, the pattern where athletes who date members of the Kardashian family often experience a rapid decline in performance. This could mean that Lewis's career may soon face a downturn.
So that claim already has people raising eyebrows. What really stands out is the timing again. You mean to tell me right after losing that court ruling, Kim suddenly flies herself and her kids all the way to Tokyo? That's not a small move. That's calculated, and it's got people questioning what the real intention was. But here's where things start getting serious. Some are now saying Ray J might actually be the one who could shake the Kardashian empire, and that's a bold statement.
How different are their lives minus this tape?
That's a crazy question, man.
Because we know who their father is, because he was one of the lead attorneys on OJ. Rest OJ, so rest his soul.
Rest OJ too. Damn, that nigga just died. Rest in peace, OJ.
There's a blind item making waves, and it's got a lot of people talking because of how detailed it is. The claim says the matriarch is worried that an unsealed $6 million receipt could trigger a second phase, possibly leading to subpoenas tied to 2007 hotel records. And if those records show she checked in with a specific production figure, it could open the door to major legal trouble.
You see what this family, the Kardashians, have been able to do. You look at Kim, who's a billionaire. You look at the younger sister, Kylie. She's
love what Kylie's doing. Amazing.
Close to a billionaire, if not a billionaire. All the family.
For sure, be for Kendall, and I love what Kendall's doing, and Kylie.
That's the kind of situation nobody wants coming back into the spotlight. People are connecting this directly to Kris Jenner, especially since multiple reports have claimed she was involved in negotiating key details behind the scenes, including distribution deals tied to that situation. It's even being said that these terms were part of an NDA connected to that reported $6 million agreement with Ray J. And then there's another layer to this. Some are wondering if Kanye ever knew the full story, especially remembering that moment when he flew out, went through all that effort to retrieve a computer linked to Ray J and brought it back. That whole situation is being looked at differently now, and it's raising even more questions. Then you've got that moment on the show where Kim is sitting there crying on camera, acting like you just did something heroic, and he looks so proud of himself. But now Ray J is calling all of that into question. He's saying none of that was real. No second tape, no third tape, nothing stolen, no drama like that at all. And according to him, if anything else exists, Kim already has it. He even went further, claiming that Kris arranged for a studio in Burbank to handle everything. That's a heavy claim, and it completely flips the story people have been told for years. Now here's where those hotel logs start to matter. There have been multiple people tied to the adult industry, even a broker who allegedly said they were involved in negotiating deals behind the scenes. One of them even claimed they tried to route the deal a certain way, but it ended up going in a completely different direction. That raises a big question. Why switch it up like that? And it keeps circling back to the same thing. Why sue Ray J at all? From the outside, it looks like he's sitting on documents, receipts, and that reported $6 million agreement. The claim is that they're going after him for breaking an NDA, but Ray J is pushing back hard, saying they were the first to break it by turning him into a storyline on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. That's a major accusation. Some people think they assumed he would stay quiet because of that payout, but that clearly didn't happen. And let's not forget, Ray J has also made money connected to that situation, so this isn't one-sided at all. Now the bigger conversation is starting to grow. People are asking if Ray J really does have proof backing him up, what happens next? Because if his claims hold any weight, this situation could get a lot more serious. It's going back to the very beginning. Hotel logs, text messages, car rentals, studio bookings, even metadata from the tape itself. Emails, old conversations, and people's memories could all get pulled into this. That's not small. That's everything being put under a microscope. And that brings the big question right back. Why did Kim sue Ray J in the first place? It doesn't add up easily, especially when he's out here showing contracts and receipts. From what's being claimed, he has documentation backing up major parts of his story, and that's what's making people pause. There's also another twist that came out of the court documents. Ray J reportedly showed his ChatGPT search history, where he was asking for legal-style guidance, even questioning whether he could have a valid RICO case against Kim and Kris. That's a bold move, and it shows how far he's thinking this through. Now here's where it gets a little ironic. Kim has publicly talked about using ChatGPT while studying law, and critics have pointed to that when discussing her exam results. So some are flipping that angle, basically saying, if she relied on it, why can't Ray J reference it too? It's a strange detail, but it's being brought into the conversation. Still, the real issue is what any of this actually proves in court. Even if these claims are loud, what are the actual consequences? What deals were affected? What damage was done? And what can truly be verified? That's what this could come down to. Because if this case keeps moving forward, it's not just one issue. It could open the door to years of private details being dragged into the spotlight. And according to Ray J's side, that includes claims of long-running narratives that may not fully match reality. If even part of that gets proven, this situation could escalate in a major way. Here's the part a lot of people miss. Just because someone says something happened doesn't mean it holds up in court. You still have to prove real damage, and that's where things get tricky. Even if all these claims are true, that alone isn't enough. Let's break it down. Even if Ray J made statements about serious accusations, or even if certain actions actually happened, Kim would still have to prove that it cost her something. We're talking real losses, like deals falling apart, money disappearing, or damage to her reputation that can't be fixed. That's the standard, and it's not easy to meet. So the question becomes, did Ray J actually stop any major opportunities? Did he cause financial harm that can be clearly tracked? Did he damage their image in a way that led to measurable loss? Because without that, the case starts to look weak, no matter how dramatic the claims sound. And let's clear this up. This is civil court, not criminal. Nobody's going to jail over this. The outcomes here are limited. You're either getting money or the court orders someone to stop doing something, like an injunction. There can also be restraining style orders to prevent contact or certain actions, but that's it. So if none of those outcomes actually fix the problem being claimed, then what's the case really standing on? That's the core issue. You need a clear offense, proof that it caused harm, and a legal remedy that actually makes sense in civil court. That's why this situation has people so locked in right now. Because once you start looking at the legal side instead of just the headlines, it becomes a completely different conversation. And there are still a lot of unanswered questions sitting right in the middle of it all. And honestly, the court documents themselves are getting a lot of attention because of how detailed they are. There's a lot in there that people are still unpacking, and it's only adding more layers to an already messy situation. Do you remember Sonia Norwood? There's been talk for years about That situation where people claimed Kim and her circle took $250,000 from her, and a lot of folks brushed it off like it was just a rumor. But then Sonia came out with a formal declaration saying it wasn't $250,000. It was closer to $850,000, almost $1 million. That completely changes how people look at that story. So now people are connecting dots. If money was really taken, if, according to Ray J's claims, there were misleading statements about another tape, and if he's saying he was portrayed negatively on TV while also having proof of behind-the-scenes involvement, that raises serious questions. And if any sworn statements don't line up, that could turn into a much bigger legal issue. Which brings it right back again. Why file the lawsuit against Ray J? Because from the outside, it looks like they may have assumed he didn't have anything solid. But if he was involved from the very beginning, as he claims, then that assumption doesn't really hold up. People are really trying to make sense of this, and it's not adding up cleanly. The timeline, the claims, the documents, it's all getting picked apart piece by piece. And then there's that Tokyo moment with Lewis Hamilton. Some are saying it wasn't just a casual link-up. It may have been a paid appearance meant to shift attention away from the legal drama. And honestly, it kind of worked. Because when that happened, a lot of people stopped talking about that reported $6 million situation almost instantly. So now it's all circling back to that reported payoff tied to the first season of The Kardashians on Hulu, not the old show, the newer one. And Ray J has brought forward documents, with the judge reportedly allowing them to be used to argue that Kim and Kris may have made statements under oath that don't line up. That's a serious situation, and it's only getting deeper. On top of that, there's talk about subpoenas potentially going out for hotel logs, emails, and other records. That means this could go way beyond just public claims. This could turn into a full breakdown of what really happened behind the scenes. So now the big question, does Kim regret suing Ray J? It's hard not to wonder, because this is getting more complicated by the day, and people are still trying to figure out what the strategy was here, especially with everything else going on in her life and on the show. This whole situation is still unfolding, and there's a lot more that could come out, so keep your eyes on it. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over.